Sideline, a really lovely position to get to your client. Sometimes your client can't, for example, lie on their tummy and you want to work through their back. Sideline's perfect. So pregnant clients, people with tender stomachs, stomach complaints, and people with large stomachs. Also, it's a great way to access muscles that are difficult in prone and supine. For example, wonderful for getting into the lats and into the lateral torso. Lovely to get into the lateral and medial legs, so into those peroneals, into the adductors. So there's lots and lots of times you're going to want to work in side lying. So first of all, getting our client into that position. Okay? So I've just removed the pillow from under my client's knees. I'm pinning the towel. Now, can you rotate towards me onto your side, please? And placing the towel back down. Now, head, we still need a pillow. What's important to note here is that we want to ensure it gives them an aligned spine. So if your pillow is too thin, their head might be dropped down. Equally, if your pillow is very high, it's going to have them up in that position. So if you need to fold your pillow in half, use another pillow, then do so. So just ensure a nice neutral spine, neutral neck. Next is the bottom legs. So we want them in a stable position. Knees together here, it actually makes them quite wobbling. So we want to get into recovery position. So straighten your bottom leg for me, please. And then with this top leg, we want to have it as close to 90 degrees as is comfortable, so that we have a nice stable hip. But look how much her knee adducts in from her hip. We again want to keep all our joints as neutral as possible. So I'm going to place a pillow under her knee to raise her knee into a neutral position. So just lift your knee up for me, please, and placing a pillow underneath. So these are nice chunky pillows. So that's given us a nice neutral position here for the hip and the knee. If you find knee still dropped in, you would want to fold your pillow in half or put a second pillow underneath. Now, in terms of her lower leg, you want to ensure that that's also supported on a pillow. What we don't want is the knee up high and then the lower leg twisting down towards the bed. So if you can have your pillow long ways, simply have the leg at 90 degrees and the lower leg resting on top. Now that exposes the whole inside of her right leg and the whole lateral aspect of her top leg, the left. Now, in terms of looking at the spine position, it's really important that they are not twisted. Often clients, when they turn round, their arm will be flopping over, they'll be twisted down, and they're really in quite a compromised position for them. So make sure that you straighten them up. So I'll often say bring this shoulder under, this shoulder back. Maybe you need to ask them to bring their bum back towards you to straighten the spine. And if they struggle or tend to flop that shoulder down, creating a rotation, I'll often say just take your top arm and grip the side of the bed, because that will instantly square off their shoulder and keep their back nice and aligned. Now we're going to work through the lower leg, the top leg here. So in terms of toweling, we want to expose the leg here, but we also want to expose the top leg. So tucking really helps here because it's a very awkward position. You don't want to expose their belly, you don't want any drafts coming anywhere. Equally, you don't want any drafts coming in the bottom end either. So you want to ensure that the toweling exposes the leg but encapsulates that leg so there aren't drafts and your client is nice and comfortable. So now we have exposed the whole of the leg. So again, we're going to start with our basic effleurage strokes. Now I'm working the lower leg, forwards and backwards, with nice soft assisted hands. So a lovely position. I'm getting into peroneals, tissues I couldn't access in prone or supine. Now, if I wanted to do one stroke to complete the whole leg, what I don't want to see here is a bend and reach. One, I'm pushing the client off the bed, it's unsteady. And two, just look at my posture. It's horrible. It's really cramping my right side QL and my hip. So I simply have to turn my body, hips in line to the direction of travel, using one hand to support the leg and lifting that back heel to come up through the tissue of the leg. Now I'm going to work transversely through the tissue, hand to each side, and then simply lifting my back heel, translating the power down through those tissues. So not crushing tissue into the IT band, that can often be quite sensitive, just working through the tissues to each side of it. Forearm, really lovely applicator through this area. Again, don't press down. It's not about crushing into that IT band. I tend to work to one or other side, so on the borders of that IT band into the vastus lateralis. So one hand supporting the leg so that I'm not pushing the client off the bed. Other forearm in contact with that border of the IT band and working below, so posteriorly. And lifting my heel as I simply travel up to the top of the hip. Changing my angle, changing my arm and working through the anterior border. Again, nice floppy wrist, lifting the heel, nice neutral spine and working up into the hip. Petrissage, really lovely through this area as well. Hips square to the direction of travel as I'm working transversely on the thigh area. So into those hamstrings, vastus lateralis, and the border of the IT band. So doing some ringing here, nice neutral spine, and then working down into the lower leg. Assisted thumb, really nice through here, working through those peroneals into the tibialis anterior, and just doing some slower, more specific work. Again, some nice downward stroke, so lifting the heel, pressure down through my palms towards the bed. So just watching that in close up here, nice relaxed hands. Coming up, change direction of your lunge, one hand to stabilize and other hand traveling up through the tissue. Forearm, same principle, lifting that back heel, nice relaxed wrist, up to the top of the hip, some nice downward strokes. And some petrissage. And palpation, same as we've done before. Compressing, lifting that back heel, nice relaxed palm, and just teasing that tissue away. Again, working through the upper thigh, one hand to stabilize, and lifting that back heel to do some nice light compression through the area. Soft fist, teasing the tissue away from the IT band or the joints. Now working the inside leg, again toweling is important. Pull your client's leg straight if it is crooked, and then simply ensure again that we have no drafts in that area. So a lovely way to expose that inside medial calf and also into the adductors and medial quads. So, applying our effleurage. Again, I'm going to run out of space at about her knee. That's where my top foot ends. Connect with the floor, ground your feet, lift the heel to move. So make sure you connect before you move. Get your depth, connect with the client, then lift the heel to maintain that pressure and move. No pressure over the joint itself. Shuffle so that as your foot is now at the hip, and simply working through the tissue.